Hey, this is Scott Ferguson, host of the Time to Shine Today podcast. And if you really want to learn how to level up your life and learn all things podcasting, you should be listening to the Friendly Podcast Guide with my friend, Andy Smiley. Let's level up.
Welcome to the Friendly Podcast Guide, sorting through podcasts so you don't have to. I'm Andy Smiley, and I want to help you discover the right podcast without having to listen to an entire episode. Now, let's talk podcasts. Hi there, welcome back. The host of this week's podcast has some of the highest energy I have ever witnessed. Scott Ferguson is the host of the Time to Shine Today podcast, and he helps people get motivated to live their best life and make sure that no one feels alone. I can't wait for you to feel Scott's zest for life. First, here's how Scott describes his show. Our motto is we do not want anyone to feel like they have no one. We're all about getting fired up and leveling up our life. Are you tired of the everyday humdrum life that you're living? Don't fret. We've all been there. Time to Shine Today is a mastermind of people who are always on the lookout to pick up our next step to add to our success arsenal and then paying it forward. Just a note for the audio that almost every one of those sentences ended in an exclamation point. Like I said, high energy. The length of each episode is 30 to 45 minutes. The series is ongoing with new episodes available Mondays and Wednesdays. Before we learn more about the vibe of the show, we're going to take a quick break to talk about Libsyn. If you're thinking about starting your own podcast, Libsyn will help you make it happen. I use Libsyn to get the Friendly Podcast Guide from my microphone to your ears. They make it super easy to take your great idea for a podcast and make it a reality. They have several different price plans starting at just $5 a month. And if you use my affiliate code FPG at checkout, you get your first month free. Start your podcasting journey by clicking on the link in the show notes. Now we get to hear from Scott as he pumps us up to live our best lives. I am so excited to talk to Scott Ferguson. He is the host of the Time to Shine Today podcast, and holy cow, he has so much energy. It's going to be an awesome conversation. First of all, Scott, can you introduce yourself?
Hey, I am Scott Ferguson, and I'm located in South Florida. And there's no place on the earth that I'd rather be than right here talking to you, Andy.
Well, that's fabulous. It's a good way to spend an evening talking podcasts, right?
Absolutely. So
you've got to tell me, why did you start your podcast?
It was super uber duper selfish reason for me. I'm an executive coach, lifestyle optimization artist. I work with really high end clients, from CEO executives, people that are actors, actresses, and the people that cover People magazine, professional athletes and whatnot. And I'm always coaching what to level up. And a lot of times when I'd reach out to coaches or therapists or consultants just to pick their brain, they never had time. But when I invited them on a podcast, like, heck yeah, man, I'm going to come on and have a conversation. So I really did it as a selfish endeavor. And then I started putting out the content. I've been building a list since 2009 for Time to Shine Today to help people level up their life. We don't want to have anyone to feel like they have no one. So basically, they started listening to it like, oh, I'd really like to meet that coach, or you possibly have that coach, hire that coach. So it's like, wait a minute, man, I'm onto something here. And that was December 19th of 2019 that I launched it. And the awesome COVID, Corona, I don't know if you heard about that thing, but this pandemic is going on for 2 years. Well, COVID happened. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me for podcasting, because everybody had time to come on, no matter what level you are. So that's what really launches a really selfish endeavor. And then, I come from a go-giver background where I like to give until it hurts so good, right? And basically, I was like, man, I can give awesome content out to the squad of listeners, which I call my varsity squad. And they just really took to it and love it. And just, we are blowing away some great numbers, and we do a lot of special things for our guests.
That is awesome. I love that it started out selfish, but now it's completely turned around. You give so much. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I feel like we've touched on it, but let's dive deeper into what you want people to get out of your podcast.
Yeah. When I built my podcast, I tried to do it right. And I built kind of an avatar of a listener. My avatar is like 3 pages long. I literally typed it out and just read it and just kind of went through it and said, okay, this is my avatar of a listener. Someone's getting in their car. They might be a little lost. They're just going to work, punching the clock, water cooler time, 2-hour lunches, but they're feeling like they're just not where they need to be. Those are my listeners. Those are my squad. Those are the people that I want to help level up and take to the level or, the next level for them, whether it's up a corporate ladder or if they want to start a side hustle or whatnot. I want to be I am a one-stop shop, kind of be able to put people in need with the right person and just be a connector. So that's really the premise of that.
That's awesome. I love that you know exactly who you're talking to. And I feel like the people that listen probably feel really seen because of that. Okay. So would you describe the vibe of your show?
It's really down and no, we're leveled up, man. It's funny. I've interviewed introverts, and I don't try to push them out of comfort zones or anything like that, but I really have them stretch it to the point where they're talking, and then we get off of the mic and we're done recording. Like, Fergie, man, you really you got me to do stuff, and I'm like, I know why? Because I'm an introvert. Believe it or not, I'm an introvert. So it's like people don't think, but my vibe is I want to help people so much. I want to plant trees that I will never sit in the shade of. And the only way that I can do that, I feel, is by bringing an energy that is going to make people that are driving to work, whole hum, doldrums, really level up. So that's our vibe. It's not fake because I love what I do, so I can bring that out, but it's just so much fun.
Totally. Well, and I feel like when you're passionate about something, you can have that energy every day, right?
Yeah,
when you're excited
absolutely.
about what you're doing,
right.
It makes it really easy to have that energy. I love that.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I know that this is going to be hard, but do you have a favorite episode or two?
Ooh. I love I have Dreamers Succeed podcast with Berta Medina, who I really need to introduce you to as well. She drops some serious knowledge nuggets, as we call them at Time Shine Today. Christopher Didion. We've had bigger guests like Bob Berg, the author of The Go-Giver, or Randy Gage, huge motivational speaker, that the squad loved. But I don't really have that many favorites because I treat each one like they're my own creation, if you will.
Totally. Well, that makes sense. I feel like it's hard to choose for every podcast host. I feel like that's the hardest question.
But yours is me, of course. Okay.
Obviously.
Get ready for that.
We're not even done, and it's my favorite.
And hey, friendly podcast guide squad, my friend Andy is going to be coming on Time to Shine Today very soon, so stay tuned for that.
Yeah, definitely. That'll be fun. The tables will be turned. It'll be interesting. Is your podcast okay for little ears, or should we have moms put their headphones in?
I really strongly recommend my guests stay away from the explicit, but some of them do. But when they do, I put it right in the show notes, put it right on the top of the webpage. I mark it on my host, podcast host. But I've only had a couple that just went off the rails, but it was expected from them just because that's how they bring it on stage. And I want them to keep it real and authentic, but probably 92% absolutely good for little ears.
Totally. Well, and I love that you put it in the show notes so that parents can see that and know what to expect. So I think that's the perfect way to go about it.
That's a great question, by the way.
Thank you. Is there anything else that you want to add that we haven't touched on yet?
Basically, just if you are looking to get into podcasting, there's only 1 million or so podcasts out there. You think that's a lot, but when there's billions of blogs, and then you say, 1 million. And if you're really looking into podcasting, out of that 1 million, only 89% are active 11% are active podcasts. The rest of them are really what we call zombie podcasts. So if you're out there and you're looking to launch a podcast, listen to ones like Andy's and hopefully mine to really pick up steps and how to get things done. And, if you need help, like my good friend Leah Woodford says, get your asking gear. And I'd be happy to answer any questions about launching a podcast if you need to, if that's your listeners out there.
Definitely. I feel like I also love to answer those questions. I like talking anything podcasts. So
you do.
I feel like between the two of us, I feel like we could answer any question.
Well, I have to give a shout out to Alex Sanfilippo because he kind of put us together through Podmatch, I believe. So here's a happy shout out to Alex out there.
Yes, definitely. Thank you, Alex. Can you tell my listeners where they can find you?
Yeah, we're across all of the podcast directories, or you can go to timetoshinetoday.com/podcast.
Fabulous. And then social media. Are you on all the big ones?
Yeah, everywhere across the board, Time to Shine Today in social media. And I got to say that I'm not really big on social. I appreciate you going there and seeing it, but I don't do a ton on social media because I really built an intimate email list of, over 150,000 subscribers. I get like a 32% open on every email I send. So they're actually listening to it. So I'm very intimate on this. And now my own coach, is having me step out and do a little bit more social. I don't do it. I'm blessed to have a squad that does it for me, but yeah, you can find me there, but I just don't do a ton and I don't go after followers or any of that jazz.
Sure.
Doesn't make sense for me to do it.
Well, there you go. So if people want to find you there, they can, but the best way is probably that email list. And I'm assuming they can get on the email list via your website. If you go to timetoshinetoday.com/podcast, you can opt in there. If you listen, any of our show notes will have an opt-in box, within the show notes. And that way we can definitely connect with you. And again, if you're looking to, start a podcast also, I would love to, give you some guidance as well. Definitely. I love that. Well, thank you so much, Scott. I cannot wait to introduce you to all of my listeners.
Yes. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm super blessed and highly favored. And, thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you know someone who could use the Time to Shine Today podcast in their life, would you share this episode with them? And if you feel the itch to start your own podcast, click on the link in the show notes to begin your podcast journey with Libsyn. Talk to you soon.
Made me a better coach. Hey, love.
Okay, she wants to show you this.
It's
a ball.
Awesome. Is it a bouncy ball?
I think so. That's what it looks like. Cool. He says he likes it. Okay, take it back downstairs.
You're my favorite.
Thank you.